Hello, I'm attorney Wais Azami. Welcome to my law office. Because I practice criminal defense in Southern California, a very multicultural society full of immigrants, I like to discuss the topic of crimes as it pertains to immigrants and their immigration status. Certain crimes or criminal charges are deemed crimes of moral character or moral turpitude. What that means is the United States government deems the act so horrendous, so vile, the intent so malicious that it's out of moral character, that you cannot be trusted. These crimes are not just big, heinous crimes like murder and terrorism and so forth, but also things where trust is an issue. For example, fraud, theft, family violence, domestic violence, and so forth. So anytime where you can potentially harm society or betray trust, it can be deemed crime of moral character. Aggravated felonies also are crimes of moral character. Anything where the sentence would be a year or more. Now, you don't actually have to have done the 1 year, or maybe the judge or the court give you a suspended sentence, which means, okay, you would have had 1 year, but we're just going to give you probation instead. But if the sentence would have been a year or more, that's still considered aggravated felony. So these crimes can have devastating effects because not only do you pay the normal penalty that somebody else would have, but you can also get a lot of harm done to your immigration status. You need an attorney who understands this, who's also an immigrant, just like you guys, who understands that maybe it's better sometimes to plead to a different charge or fight it tooth and nail to make sure that your defenses are considered. Otherwise, you're out. It's pretty much a life sentence. I mean, if you're sent back home to a place where it's not safe at all, that's effectively a life sentence for something like stealing a loaf of bread. Yes, stealing a loaf of bread to feed your family is theft, shoplifting, crime of moral turpitude. So it doesn't have to be rape. It doesn't have to be sexual exploitation. It doesn't have to be murder. It doesn't have to be gangbanging, transporting drugs, or selling drugs. Those are included, of course, along with all kinds of other felonies. But I'm talking about the run-of-the-mill, everyday occurrences in the family. Push and shove between husband and wife. A child sees it. That's an additional domestic violence charge, but the shoving of your spouse, that's also domestic violence. Stealing, shoplifting, like I said before, any kind of fraud, insurance fraud and so forth, government fraud for welfare. All these things where your trust is an issue and you betrayed it, these are crimes of moral character. Now, sometimes it's better to take a charge that maybe will have a little bit of time, but it won't affect your immigration in the future. So before you plead guilty to anything, before you accept any kind of a charge, make sure you speak to the correct attorney who understands the consequences for your immigration too. Best of luck.